Hello students, I am here to teach you chapter 3 in your textbook that's called fractions. Why we need to learn fractions? Without knowing, we use it everyday life. For example, in cooking, let's say we want to make a pudding. So we can say we are adding half a tablespoon of vanilla. Another example, in currency we can say quarter of a rupee is 25 cents. So that's why it is really important to learn fractions. So let's take a square first. I want to divide this into 4 equal parts. And I'll shade one part. So if I ask what's the shaded part of the whole thing, how can you write? I can write there are 4 equal parts. Out of that, 1 is shaded. So here we can write like this, 1/4. So here, what is this number above the line and below the line? So you need to learn correct terms. Here, what you call this number above the line, we call this is the numerator. What is the number below the line? We call it denominator. So here we can say, what's the fraction here? When you take, what's the fraction of the shaded part? When you take 4 equal parts, one part is shaded, we say 1/4 or 1 out of 4. We'll take another one. We'll take a circle and I want to divide this into 3 equal parts. And I'm shading 2 parts. How can I write this shaded region? Altogether, there are 3 equal parts. Out of that, I shaded 2 parts. This is one part, this is the other part. So 2/3, 2/3. So we can say in this one, 2/3 of a circle is shaded. So here, what is the numerator here? Numerator is the number above the line and denominator is the number below the line. So make sure it's important to identify the numerator and the denominator. Let's take another example. So there are 20 eggs inside a container. Okay, assume there are 20 eggs. So 11 eggs are yellow yolked ones. So yellow ones 11 and 9 white eggs. So if I ask you a question, how many yellow eggs are in this container? How can we write as a fraction? So we can write there are 20 eggs altogether. Out of 20, how many yellow eggs are there? 11. So 11 out of 20 or 11/20. Now we'll see what are the types of fractions you need to know. Types of fractions. So you need to know these terms correctly. What is a unit fraction? What is proper fraction? What is improper fraction? Okay, unit. What is unit means? 1. So when you get the numerator 1 with any denominator, 1/3, we call those fractions are unit fractions. 1/3, 1/5, 1/12. 1 over 7. Can you see always the numerator is 1? So those are unit fractions. Now we'll take proper fractions. Proper fractions, something like this. Can you identify that? So here I'll write different examples. What can you see? Look at carefully the numerator and the denominator. 3 and 5. This number is bigger than the numerator value. Here 7 is bigger than 2. 9 is bigger than 5. So here always the numerator is less than the denominator. What about this one? 3 is smaller. So numerator, when the numerator is smaller than the denominator, we say these are proper fractions. So you can get any number but compare the numerator and the denominator. So here another example, 8 over 11. Always the denominator is larger than the numerator. Now what are improper fractions? So here just IM word extra to this. So that means opposite of this. So we take something like this. What can you see that? 7 over 2. 9 over 8. Another example, 13 over 5. What can you see? Always the numerator is bigger than the denominator. 9 is bigger than 8. 13 is bigger than 5. So these are called improper fractions. Now we'll see what are equivalent fractions are. Equivalent. We'll take an example. 20 over 25. Okay, so this is a improper fraction. I want to divide this by a common factor. 20 and 25. What's the common factor? I can see 5 is a common factor. I want to divide this number by 5. When you are doing something to the numerator, you have to do the same thing to the denominator as well. 25 divided by 5. What you get? 20 divided by 5 is 4. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So we can say this fraction is equivalent to this one. Same value. But you get different numerator value and the denominator value. So here what are equivalent fractions? The value is the same but you get numerator and denominator different values but it's proportional. Another example, we'll take another one. 12 and 8. What is this type of fraction? This is improper fraction. But I can write an equivalent fraction to this. What can I do? I can divide this by 2. I'll take this one, divide this by 2. So I'm doing the same thing to the denominator. What happens? 12 divided by 2 is 6. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So here we can say 12 over 8 is equivalent to 6 over 4. Again, I can further simplify. So 6 over 4, how can I write? I can divide this by 2. So 6 divided by 2. So I'm doing the same thing. 4 divided by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So here we can say 12 over 8 is equivalent to 6 over 4. That's also equivalent to 3 over 2. So here what we can see, here this one is called the simplified form. simplified form. That's the lowest term. Sometimes if you're asked to write down the lowest term or the simplified form, you have to write the simplified version, not this one. So when you are getting a question, try to write down the simplified fraction. So here, now we did division. You can do the same thing. I want to take another fraction and show you, you can do multiplication as well. For example, if I take this one as the initial fraction, I want to find out any equivalent fraction. I'm trying to multiply by 3, the numerator. So again, I can multiply the denominator also by 3. So what I get? 4 times 3 is 12. 5 times 3 is 15. So I can write this is same as 12 over 15. So that's also equivalent fraction. So you can either divide or multiply to get the equivalent fractions. We'll take this one, this example. So here I'll take 6 over 4. I want to multiply this by 5. Numerator multiplied by 5. I can do the same thing to the denominator. So what you get? 6 times 5 is 30. 4 times 5 is 20. So 30 over 20. Or I can again multiply it by 3. What's the other equivalent fraction when you multiply by 3? 3 times 3, 90. 3 times 2, 60. So you can find out any equivalent fraction by multiplying the numerator and the denominator or divide the numerator and the denominator. Now we'll see how we can convert mixed numbers to improper fractions. So here you know what are improper fractions? When the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So improper means numerator is bigger. Now what is this number? This number we call a mixed number. You get a whole number and a fraction part. So here you get a whole number and a proper fraction part, proper fraction. So we call these two together mixed number. Not a mixed fraction, mixed number. Now how can we convert to improper fractions? So we'll see 2 and 3/4. So here I'll teach you 2 methods to find out how to convert improper fractions. So we'll see 2 and 3/4. So here I can write 2 as 1 plus 1 and then 3/4. So here what happens here? 3/4 are there. 1 and 1. Now can you find the addition? No. What we can do here, when you take any whole number, you can convert to an equivalent fraction. So we'll take the previous part. I explained how to convert to an equivalent fraction. So 1 you can write 1 over 1. I can write same thing 2 over 2 by multiplying by 2. I can write this 3 over 3. So here, can you see? I can write here the denominator is 4. If you want to add the fractions, I can write this one in terms of 4. So 1 I can write 4 over 4. So what we can do, I can write this 4 over 4 plus 4 over 4 plus 3 over 4. So what can I get? So here, if you want to draw a diagram, So when I take a shape, I can divide into 4 equal parts. Another 4 equal parts. And here 3 parts out of 4. So here 4 over 4 means full thing. 4 over 4, another full square. Now what is this one? 3/4. This one. So how can I write this? How many squares are there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So instead of this, I can write 11 parts of 4s. So 11 over 4. Now without drawing, how can we convert mixed numbers to improper fractions? I'll teach you a method. Now here, when you have 2/4, 2 and 3/4, what we do, we multiply this number by the whole number and add this value to the numerator. So what happens here? I can do, denominator is not changing, keep as it is. 4 times 2 is 8. So I'll write it here, 2 times 4 plus, and you are adding the next number, numerator value. So what you are getting here, 2 times 4 is 8, 8 plus 3, 11. So that's the easiest way to convert to an improper fraction. Now we'll do this one. So without drawing, can you convert this to an improper fraction? So what we do here, you multiply this by this number and then add it to this one. So what you get here? 7 times 4 plus 2. What's the denominator? It's same as 7. So what's the answer? 7 times 4, 28. 28 plus 2, 30 over 7. So here, this is the mixed number. Converting to improper fraction is 30 over 7. Now we'll take these examples. 3 and 2/5. How can we do that? 5 is the denominator. 5 times, so what you do here, multiply and add it. 5 times 3, 15. So I'll write it first and then add it. Add 2. 5 times 3, 15. 15 plus 2, 17 over 5. What about this one? If you can do it at once, no need to write down. 3 times 7, 21. 21 plus 1, 22. I'll write it here as well. 7 times 3 plus 1. 7 times 3, 21 plus 1, 22 over 3. What about this one? 5 times 8 plus 3. 5 times 8 is 40. 40 plus 3 is 43. So I'll write it here. 5 times 8 plus 3. You get the same denominator. 40 plus 3 is 43 over 5. What about this one? 11 times 4 plus 3. So 11 times 4 plus 3. So you get the same denominator. 11 times 4 is 44 plus 3, 47 over 4. Now the other conversion, improper fractions. So these are improper fractions. The numerator is bigger than the denominator. You are asked to convert to mixed number. Mixed number means a whole number and a proper fraction. So how can we convert this? So there's a method. Now here we have to use the long division. So here we find how many 7s are there for 22. 22 divided by 7. There are 3 parts. 7 times 3, 21. What's the remainder? You get 1. So this is how we write. So this is the whole part. Whole part. And this is called the remainder. Remainder, we take 1 out of 7. 7 is called the divisor. So this is the divisor. So how can we write this number? 3 whole parts and 1 part out of 7. How can we do this one? 17 divided by 5. You do long division. How many 5s for 17? 3, 15, remaining 2. So how can we write down? 3 full parts, 2 parts out of 5. So this number comes to the numerator and this is the divisor. I'll write down, this is called the divisor. We'll take another one. 44 divided by 8. So you can do again long division. 8 times 5, 40. 4 remaining. So how can we write? 5, 4 over 8. Here we can simplify further. Can you see 4 and 8? 4 is common to both. So I can simplify this as 4 times 1, 4 times 2. So what's the final answer? 5 parts and half. What about this one? 27 over 6. So you do 27 divided by 6. 6 times 4, 24. 3 remaining. What's the answer? 4 parts are there. 3 parts out of 6. Again, we can simplify. So 3 ones are there, 3 twos. So what's the final answer? 4 and a half. What about this one? 52 divided by 6. Again, long division. 52 divided by 6. 6 times 8, 48. 4 remaining. How can we write down? 8 parts are there. 4 remaining out of 6. So here you can divide by 2 and write down 8 and 2/3 because this is divisible by 2. You can write 2 here. This is divisible by 2. You can write 3 here. 8 and 2/3. So here we did improper fractions to mixed number as well as mixed number convert to improper fractions. Now we'll see how we can compare fractions. So if you have given 2 fractions to compare, first thing look at the denominators. Here this is out of 3 parts, this is out of 4 parts. So when you have 2 different denominators, you can't compare at once. So what you can do? You can convert these to same number of parts. So we are taking lowest common multiple. So what you can do, take the lowest common multiple of these 2 denominators and find out the common one. So 3/4. How you find out the lowest common multiple? Lowest common multiple. So we can divide by prime factors and see how many prime factors we need till you get ones. So here 3 and 4, 2 is a prime factor for 4. So if you can't divide 3 by 2, you leave as it is. But 4 you can divide by 2. How many 2s? 2. Again you can divide this by 2. So how many 2s are there? 3 you can't divide, write as it is, and then here you get 1. Now we have a 3. So what's the common factor here? You have to divide by 3. 3 times when you divide by 3, you get 1 and 1. Till you get 1, you have to divide by prime factors. That's called lowest common multiple. So what's the lowest common multiple? 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 3, 12. So the lowest common multiple is 12. So that means we can convert this fraction to 12 equal parts as well as we can convert this to 12 equal parts. Now we know equivalent fractions. How can we convert? Now here can you see 3 converted to 12. How you do that? When you multiply by 4, you get 12. How you convert to equivalent fractions? If you do something to the denominator, you have to do the same thing for the numerator. So what you can do, you can multiply this by 4. 2 times 4 is 8. This one, 4 and 12. We can see you get the denominator by multiplying this by 3. So what you do to the numerator? Do the same thing. 3 times 3 is 9. Now we can see the denominator is the same, numerators are different. Now we can compare. Which one is bigger, 8 or 9? 9 is bigger. So here we can say 9 parts out of 12 is bigger than 8 parts out of 12. But you can't keep the answer like this because this is not given. The question asks how you compare these two. So what is 9 twelfths means? 9 twelfths related to 3/4. What is 8 twelfths means? 2/3. So here we can say 3/4 is bigger than 2/3. Or you can write 2/3 is smaller than. When you are reading from left side, we say 2/3 less than 3/4. So which one? The question asks to find out the largest fraction. So what's the largest fraction? 3/4. This is the bigger one. So 3/4 is the largest fraction. Now we'll take this example. You have again 2 fractions given and you are asked to find out the largest fraction. Find the largest. So I'll write down find the largest. Okay, so here we can take, okay, what's the first step? Denominators are different. You can't compare when the denominators are different. So what you have to do, you have to find a common factor. What you call that? Lowest common multiple. So first thing you can do, you can convert to find the lowest common multiple. Again, 6 and 8. We can see 2 is common, divide by 2. 3 and 4. Again, 4 is divisible by 2, you can divide by 2 here. 2 and 3. Again, 2 is there, you can divide by 2. Now we can see 3 is there, so that means we can divide by 3 and till you get ones, you have to divide. So what's the lowest common multiple? 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2, 8, 8 times 3, 24. So here you have to convert to 24. So that's the common denominator. How we convert? 6 to 24. That's, you have to multiply by 4. So what you have to do to find the equivalent fractions? You have to do the same thing to the numerator. So you multiply the numerator by 4. What about this one? 8 to 24. When you multiply 8 by 3, you get 24. So that means you have to multiply 7 by 3 to get the equivalent fraction. So what is 5 times 4? 20. 7 times 3? 21. Now you can compare the numerators because denominators are the same. So 20 and 21, which one is bigger? We can see 21 out of 24 is bigger than 20 over 24. So here you can't keep the answer like this. You have to use the question fractions. So here what is related to 21 over 24? That's related to 7 over 8. So we can say 7 over 8 is bigger than this side is 5 over 6. So which one is the largest? So here this is 5 over 6 is less than 7 over 8. So which one is the largest one? So we can say largest fraction is 7 over 8. Now we'll take addition now. You have given two fractions and you are asked to find the sum of these two fractions. So in these, the first example is easy. Same denominator and you are asked to add it. If you are drawing a diagram, what can you do? So here there are 6 parts. Out of that, 1 part colored. And you are trying to add same size of shape, but 4 parts are colored. 3 parts and 4 parts. So what is the total number of parts? So what we can do? 1. So when you take all together 6 parts, how many parts colored? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can write this is as 5 over 6. Now without drawing you can easily find the addition. So what you have to do, look at the denominators. If the denominators are the same, you just add the numerators together. So here 6 is the denominator. So here you get 6 as the denominator for the answer. For the numerator you just add 1 and 4. Don't add 6 and 6, that's wrong. Some students try to add the denominator as well. No, that's wrong because here this means there altogether 6 parts are there. You can't increase number of parts. Now we'll take the next one. Now you can see this is the denominator is 3. Here the denominator is 6. Those are not equal. So how can we add it? So here what we can do, I'll show you with a diagram. If this is 2/3, that means if you have 3 parts, 2 parts are colored. If you have 6 parts, the next one 1/6. That means when you have 6 parts, 1 part is colored. So here it's difficult to add 3 parts and 6 parts. What you can do, you can convert to 6 parts. If I draw a line like this, we can see there are 6 parts are there in this diagram. Now how many parts are colored? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So 5 parts are colored out of 6. So we'll see how we can get this answer without drawing the diagram. So what we can do, we can find out the equivalent fraction to 2/3 and then you can add the numerator. So what we can do, take 2/3. What's the equivalent fraction to get 6 parts? So 3 you can multiply by 2 to get 6. So you have to do the same thing for the numerator. 2 times 2, 4. So 2/3 is equivalent to 4 over 6 plus 1 over 6. So what's the answer? Same denominator, 4 and 1, you can add it together and write 5 over 6. So now you can see you get the same answer without drawing the diagram. So try this method. When you get different denominators, what you have to do? You have to convert to the same denominator. What about this one? Now we'll try without drawing the diagram. 8 and 4. So I told you when the denominators are different, you have to take the lowest common multiple. If you can't figure it out at once, best way to do it separately. 8 and 4, you can find out the common factor, lowest common multiple. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Then you can see you can divide it by 2 and 1. Again, you can divide by 2, 1 and 1. So what's the lowest common multiple? 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So here what we can do, you can convert to the same denominator. Here, no need to convert because 8 parts are there. This one, you have to write down the equivalent fraction. 4, how you get 8? From 4. 4 multiplied by 2. You have to do the same thing to the numerator. 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. Then what's the answer? 3 plus 2 becomes 5 out of 8. So we'll take these 3 questions, first 3 questions. Can you see? You get same denominator. So it's easy. You can just add the numerators. But these 2 questions are different. You get different denominators. So we'll do the first one. So what's the common denominator? You get 12. So you can just add the numerators separately. So 7 plus 4, you get 5 over 12. So the second question also, you get same denominator. So you can just add the numerators separately. So common denominator is 10. 7 plus 1, you get 8. Can you keep the answer like this? No, you can simplify this answer further. So we can divide this by 2. 2 times 4, 2 times 5. So what's the answer? You get 4 over 5. Now look at the third one. In the third one, again you get the same denominator. So you can just add the numerator. So 11 plus 8, you get 19. Now what is this one? You get an improper fraction. So 19 over 15. So we can convert to a mixed number by dividing 19 by 15. So how many 15s for 19? 1. And what's the remaining part? You get 4. So instead of 19 over 15, you can write 1 full part and 4 parts out of 15. Now we'll look at the fourth part. Now the denominators are different. So 6 and 4, how can we find out the lowest common multiple? So here we can take the 2 numbers together. You can divide by 2. Again you can divide by 2 and by 3. So what's the answer? 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 3, 12. So that means we can convert these 2 denominators to 12. So how you get 12 from 6? You need to multiply by 2. So you have to do the same thing for the numerator too. So 2 times 3 is 6. How you get 12 from 4? Multiply by 3. So 3 times 1, 3. So when you simplify, 6 plus 3 you get 9 over 12. You can simplify further. What's the common denominator? You can divide by 3. 3 times 3, 3 times 4. So what's the answer? You get 3 over 4. Now look at this one. Here you get mixed numbers. So what we can do, we can add the whole numbers separately and the fractions separately. So 1 plus 2, you get 3 full parts and then you get 5 over 6 and 1/3. Now we need to simplify this one. Again, different denominators. What's the common denominator for 6 and 3? You get 6. So here convert this to 6. 6. Here 5 parts are already there. How you convert 3 to 6? You need to multiply by 2. So 2 times 1, you get 2. So what's the answer? You get 3 and 7 parts out of 6. Can you keep the answer like this? 7 over 6 is an improper fraction. So you need to simplify and then add it together. Now 7 over 6, how can I write? 7 divided by 6 is 1. and 1 remaining. So instead of 7 over 6, I can write 3 and 1 full part with 1 over 6. Now you can add the whole numbers together. So what is the answer? 3 plus 1 becomes 4 and you get 4 and 1 over 6. Now 3 fractions addition. So what's the first thing you can do? You can add the whole numbers together. 3 and 1 and 1. 3 plus 1, 4. 4 plus 1, 5. 5 parts are there. Then what you do? You add 3 parts of 5 and half and 3/4. So 5 and 2 and 4 in the denominator. So how can we find out the lowest common multiple? So we'll find out. 5, 2, 4. Divide by 2, you get 1 and 2 here. 5, you write as it is. You can see 2 is again a common factor. You can divide. 5 is remaining. You can divide by 5 again. Till you get 1, you have to divide. So what's the lowest common multiple? 2 times 2 times 5. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 5 is 20. So 20 is the lowest common multiple. That means common denominator is 12. So we'll try to find out the equivalent fractions for these. So here, how you get 20 from 5? You multiply by 4. You have to do the same thing. 3 times 4, 12. How you get 20 from 2? You multiply by 10. You do the same thing. 1 times 10, you get 10. How you get 20 from 4? You multiply by 5. 5 times 3, 15. Now we can add all these numerators together. 5 plus 2, 7. 1, 2, 3. 37 out of 20. Here again, we can't keep the answer like this because this is an improper fraction. So you have to convert to a mixed number. So we have to find out the mixed number. So you take the long division. Divide by 20. So how many 20s? 1. 20 there. So what's the remainder? 7 and 1. So we can write instead of 37 over 20, this is 5 and 1 part whole number is there and 17 parts out of 20. So what's the final answer? 5 plus 1 is 6 and you get 17 out of 20. Now we'll see fraction subtraction. So similar to addition, you have to look at the denominator. If the denominators are the same, you just subtract the numerators. If the denominators are not the same, what you do? Convert to lowest common multiple. So here we can do the same thing as before, like addition. 8 is the common denominator. Just subtract the numerators. 7 minus 3 is 4. So you can simplify this. Divide by 4. Divide by 4, you get half. What about this one? 12 is the common denominator. 11 minus 5 is 6. Again, you can simplify. 6 times 1, 6 times 2. What's the answer? Half. What about this one? Same denominator, 20. 17 minus 3. 17 minus 3 is 14. You can simplify this. So you can divide by 2. You get 7. Divide by 2, 10. So what's the answer? 7 over 10. Now, what about this one? You get a whole number and a fraction. So what's the easiest way to do this? Earlier I did how to convert to 1. You can write as any number in the denominator. You can multiply by 2 or 3. Whatever the number, you get the same answer, denominator and the numerator. Now here, look at the question. The denominator is 10. So what you can do, you can multiply by 10 to get the same denominator. Instead of 1, I can write 10 out of 10. Then what I can do, I can now subtract 7 parts out of 10. We can see 10 is the common denominator. 10 minus 7 is 3. Again 1. So what we can do it here? Look at the denominator. Denominator is 15. So what we can do, I can write 1 as 15 over 15. So 11 over 15 here. Then 15 minus 11 is 4. 4 out of 15. Again here 1 is there. The denominator is 10. How can I write? I can write 10 over 10 over 4 over 10. So 10 minus 4, 6 out of 10. Simplify further. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. You get 3/5. Now we'll see some more questions. So here what happens? You get a whole number and a mixed number. So here first thing we can do, subtract the whole numbers. So 3 minus 1. So I can write 3 as 2 and 4 over 4. So 2 and 4 over 4 becomes 3. And I can write this one as 1 and 1/4. Then I can see I get whole numbers here. I can subtract. 2 minus 1 is 1. Then subtract these two fractions. 4 minus 1 is 3. And the same denominator you get. So what's the answer here? 1 and 3/4. What about this one? Instead of now 7, how can I write as a mixed number? I can write 6 and 10 over 10. And here subtract 3 over 10. 6 minus 4 is 2. 10 minus 3 is 7. Because you can, straight away you can subtract because you get the same denominator. You can't simplify it further. Now we'll take this one. 5, how can I write? I have to write as a mixed number. The denominator is 8. So I can write 4 and 8 over 8 minus 3 and 5 over 8. 4 minus 3, 1. 8 minus 5, 3, and the denominator is 8. So now we'll take some more examples. So here, in this case, denominators are different. So here, you can find out the common LCM. We'll do it fast now. You can divide by 3, you can divide by 2, you can divide by 2. So 3 times 2 times 2, 12. You convert to 12. How many parts to get 12? 3 parts. 3 times 3, 9. How many parts to get 12 here? 3 times 4. You multiply the numerator by 4. 4 times 2, 8. 9 minus 8 is 1 out of 12. What about this one? 10 and 4. What's the lowest common multiple? Again, you can find out. Divide by 2. Divide by 2 again. Divide by 5. Till you get 1, you can divide. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 5 is 20. So you convert to 20. How to get 20? 10 times 2. You do the same thing to the numerator. 2 times 9 is 18. How to get 20 from 4? Multiply by 5. 5 times 3, 15. 18 minus 15 is 3. 3 out of 20. Now this one, you get 2 mixed numbers. So you subtract 3 and 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. How can we subtract 7 eighths and 5 sixths? Find the lowest common multiple. 8 and 6, what's the lowest common multiple? Divide by 2. Divide by 2 again. Here another 2. Divide by 3. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 3, 24. So you need to convert to 24. How many 8s for 24? 8 times 3. 3 times 7 is 21. 6 times 4 is 24. You multiply by 4. 5 times 4 is 20. So what's the answer? You get 1 and 1 over 24. What about this one? 7 and 3. Just subtract the whole numbers. 7 minus 3, you get 4. Then what is the lowest common multiple of 3 and 6? You can see when you divide by 3 and 2, you get 1. So 6 is the lowest common multiple. That means you have to convert to 6. How you convert 3 to 6? Multiply by 2. 2 times 2, 4 minus 5. What happens here? You get a negative answer. So how we can do this sum? So we can do, instead of writing 4, I can write 3 full parts and 6 over 6. And this one is 4 minus 5 over 6. So what I can do, I can include 6 also there. So it becomes 6 over 6 plus 4 over 6 minus 5 over 6. So what you get here? 6 plus 4, 10. 10 minus 5 is 5 over 6. So when you get a negative answer like this, make sure that you take one part and convert to a fraction. So we'll see more questions here. This is also, when you do this subtraction, we'll see what happens. 8 minus 5 is 3. What's the lowest common multiple of 12 and 8? Divide by 2. Divide by 2 again. Another 2. Another 3. Till you get 1, you divide and find out the multiplication. 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 3, 24. That means you have to convert to 24. How many 12s are there for 24? 2. 2 times 7, 14. Minus, how many 8s for 24? 8 times 3. So multiply 7 by 3, you get 21. Now what can you see? Again, you are getting a negative answer. You can't subtract 21 from 14. So what do? You keep 2 parts there. Instead of that one part, I can write 24 out of 24. And then I can do the other calculation. Plus 14 minus 21. So what is the answer? 2 parts are there. 24 minus 21 is 3. 3 plus 14 is 17 out of 24. Now we'll see fraction multiplication. So here what we can do, when you are looking at these fractions, first you can check whether there are common factors in both the numerator and the denominator. So I can write the same question as this. I can write 2 times 5 in the numerator, 3 times 8 in the denominator. Now check whether there are common factors to simplify. I can see 2 and 8 I can simplify by dividing by 2. So then what you do, you multiply the numerator separately and the denominator separately. 1 times 5, 5. 3 times 4, 12. Now look at the next one. Can you simplify first? Yes. First you can write down the same thing as 7 times 2 is the numerator, 8 times 7 in the denominator. Now I can see 7 and 7 get cancelled out. 2 and 8 I can simplify. What's the final answer? 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 1 is 4. What about this one? 6 over 10 into 2/3. Again, I can write this as 6 times 2 is the numerator, 10 times 3 is the denominator. Simplify further, you get 2 with 10, you get 5, 3 with 6, you get 2 here. So what's the final answer? You get 2 over 5. What about this one? Now you get mixed number multiplication. So here what we can do when you get a mixed number, you convert to improper fractions. So first thing we did, how to convert this improper fractions? You multiply this by 3 and add to this one. So 3 times 1, 3. 3 plus 1, 4. 4 over 3. How can you convert to 1/4 to an improper fraction? 4 times 2, 8. 8 plus 1, 9 over 4. Now see, similar to the previous questions, you get fraction multiplication here. You can simplify further. 3 times 1, 3 times 3 here. I can cut this 4 with this 4. You are getting 3. Here 1 is in the denominator. No need to write 1 here. So you can keep the answer as a whole number. Now this one. Again you get mixed numbers and proper fractions. Mixed numbers you have to convert to improper fractions. 5 times 3, 15. 15 plus 1, 16 over 5. Multiplied by 8 times 2, 16. 16 plus 1, 17 over 8. Multiplied by 1 over 17. Now try to simplify. You can cancel values in the numerator with the denominator. You can't cross out numerator with numerator. So here we can see this 17 get cancelled out with this 17. This 8 cancel out with this 16 and you get 2. So what's the final answer? Numerator you get 2. Denominator 5 times 1 you get 5. Now we'll take more examples. So what's the first step? Convert to improper fraction. 7 times 3, 21. 21 plus 1, 22 over 7. How you convert this one? 11 times 1 plus 5. 16 over 11. This one is a proper fraction. You can write as it is. And now see common factors to both numerator and the denominator. I can see 11 with 22. 8 with 16. 8 times 2. So multiply the numerator. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 4, 16. 7 times 1, 7. Here you get a improper fraction. So we can convert to a mixed number. How you convert? You divide 16 by 7 and see how many whole parts are there. 7 times 2, 14. Remainder is 2. So what you can write instead of 16 over 7, you can write 2 whole parts and 2 sevenths. Now here you get a new word there, of. In mathematics, of means multiplication. So remember that of in mathematics means multiplication sign. So instead of giving multiplication sign, here it's given of word. So 3.5 multiplied by 3 over 7. We can write this question without this word of using multiplication sign. So then what you do? You convert to an improper fraction. 2 times 3, 6. 6 plus 1, 7 over 2 times 3 over 7. Now try to simplify. 7 and 7 get cancelled out. You get 3 over 2. Now we'll see another question. Another of term. So instead of you can write multiplication sign. Convert this mixed number. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 plus 1 is 15 over 2. 1/5. How can you convert? 5 times 1 is 5. 5 plus 1, 6 over 5. Now simplify. I can see 5 with this one, 3. 2, I can simplify with 6 and write 3 here. Now multiply the numerator separately and denominator separately. You get 3 times 3, 9. 1 times 1 is 1. So you can keep the answer as 9. What about this one? You get two mixed numbers and with the word off. That means you multiply these two fractions. 4 1/3. So 4 1/3 means 3 times 4, 12, 13 over 3 as a improper fraction. 13 times 1, 13. 13 plus 12 is 25 out of 13. Now try to simplify. 13, 13 get cancelled out. What's remaining? 25 over 3. You can write 25 over 3 as a mixed number. Divide by 3. 3 times 8, 24. 1 is remaining. So the answer is full 8 parts and 1/3 remaining. Okay, now we'll move to fraction division. So here 3/4 divide by 2. So I'll show you with a diagram. So here in this case there are equal, we'll take a diagram. 3/4 are there. That means I can divide this into 4 equal parts and then color 3 parts. And now we need to divide this by 2. So what I can do, I can divide all these parts by 2. So how many parts are there now altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 parts are there. So when you divide this part by this, what you get now? There are 8 parts. When you divide these two by 2, you get 1 part here. This one, when you divide, you get another part. This one, when you divide by 2, you get another part. So now what you can say, out of 8 parts, how many parts are colored? 3 out of 8. Now without drawing this diagram, I can explain this one using another method. So what happens here when you get a division sign? We keep the first fraction as it is. We convert this division sign to multiplication sign and then we take the reciprocal of this number. So what is reciprocal means? Reciprocal. So reciprocal means if you take 2, you can write as a fraction 2 over 1. So you switch numerator to denominator and denominator to numerator we call a reciprocal. So 2 goes there, 1 goes to the numerator. So what's the reciprocal of, so I can't write this is as equal. What's the reciprocal of 2? Half. What's the reciprocal of 3? 1/3. What's the reciprocal of 1/6? You can write 6 because it's upside down. So here what we do, take the reciprocal of the second number. It's 2 over 1. So what's the reciprocal of 2 over 1? I can write 1 over 2. So what's this method? When you have division, you keep the first fraction as it is and converting the division sign to multiplication sign and then you take the reciprocal. Then this is normal fraction multiplication. So what you do, you multiply the numerator separately. 3 times 1, 3. Denominator separately, 4 times 2, 8. So you get the same answer without drawing the diagram. We'll take some more examples. So what is the method we are using for division? Keep the first fraction as it is. switch this to multiplication sign and then take the reciprocal of 3. 3 I can write 1 over 3. Now multiply the fractions, these two fractions. 2 times 1 is 2, 5 times 3, 15. What about this one? You can write the first fraction as it is, switch the sign to multiplication, take the reciprocal, 1 over 3. Now, you can simplify further. 6 and 3, you can see, you can divide by 3. What's the final answer? 2 over 7. Now again, do the same thing. Keep the fraction as it is, the first fraction. Switch the sign to multiplication, take the reciprocal. 15 goes up and 4 down. Now try to simplify. 5 and 1, 5 and 3. So then you multiply the numerator separately and denominator separately. 3 times 3, 9. 1 times 1, 4. What is this? This is a improper fraction. So you can convert to a mixed number by dividing. Dividing this by 4. 4 times 2, 8. 1 remaining. You can write 2 parts and 1 over 4. Now, what about this one? Here you get 2 mixed numbers. So here what we do, you convert to improper fractions first. First thing, convert. 7 times 2, 14. 14 times 2, 16 over 7. Divide by, convert this also to a improper fraction. 5 times 2, 10. 10 plus 1, 11 over 5. Now you can convert to a multiplication. Keep the first fraction as it is and switch the sign. Take the reciprocal of the second one. Now can you simplify this? No. So what you can do? You just multiply the numerator separately and the denominator separately. 5 times 6 is 30. So you can do the multiplication. 3 remaining. 5 times 1 plus 3, 80. What's the denominator? 7 times 11 is 77. This is also an improper fraction. So convert. 80 divided by 77. How many 77s? 1 and remaining 3. So how can you write down the answer? 1 part and 3 over 77. Now we'll see. You get several fractions, addition, subtraction, and then you get the word off. How can we do this? So here what we do. Now here several operations are there. So you need to know order of operation. I think in primary classes you have done this. Order of operation. Okay, so you have addition, subtraction, division, and off means multiplication. Which one we should do first? Do you remember this method? BODMAS. So what is BODMAS means? B stands for brackets. What is O means? Here the correct word for O is orders. But certain books in your textbook, it's not orders, it's written as off. So certain books they use as off, but correct term is orders. What is D means? Division. What is M means? Multiplication. A means addition. S means subtraction. So here B means whenever you see brackets, you have to do that first. So inside brackets, you have to simplify first. O means orders means powers. Powers mean when you get something 2 to the power 2 or 2 to the power 3, you have to do next. Then think about division and multiplication. So here when you start from left to right, if you find the division sign first, you can do that first. If you find multiplication, you can do that one first. So whatever comes first from left to right, you can do in order. First, when you get a bracket, you have to simplify that, then powers, then you can think of division or multiplication, and finally you can do addition and subtraction. So here in this case, so here we can see all these operations are there. So what's the first step we can do? From left to right, when you go along this row, you get brackets. So that means you have to do this one first. And then this one second. Separately you have to do it, and then you can get the answers and then divide the two values. So instead of this, I can write 2, this one separately. I'll do separately this one, 2 and 2/3, 1.5 plus 5/6. So I can do the calculation first there. So how do we start? So I can see whole numbers are there. I can subtract whole numbers. 2 minus 1 is 1. Now I get 2/3, half and 5/6. Different denominators, what you do? Find the lowest common multiple. So 3, 2, 6. Find out the lowest common multiple, divide by 2. You get 3, you can divide by 3, you get 1. So what's the lowest common multiple? 2 times 3, 6. So you convert this to 6. How you convert 3 to 6? Multiply by 2. 2 times 2, 4. How you convert 2 to 6? Multiply by 3. 3 here. Here, make sure that you put the correct sign. This is addition. No need to convert this one because the denominator is 6. Now you can simplify. 1 is there. 4 minus 3 is 1. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6/6. So what is 6/6 is 1. So 1 and 1 becomes 2 parts are there. Now we'll take, now this is the first part. Now I need to do the second part. So I'll erase this. And I'll do the second part. So the second part says 1 and 2/3 of. Of means multiply 4/5. So here mixed number and a proper fraction. So convert to improper fractions first. 3 times 1, 3. 3 plus 2, 5/3 into 4/5. Try to simplify. I can see 5 get cancelled out. So you get 4/3 as the improper fraction. So here you have 3/4 as this answer and 2 as the next answer. So what can you do? Now you can write the question, rewrite the question. We simplified this to 2. You can write 2 divide by 4/3. Now what we do? You keep the first fraction as it is. I can write 1 here. Convert to a multiplication. So switch the sign and take the reciprocal. 3 goes up and 4 goes down. And see whether you can multiply. First simplify. So 2 and 4. I can see you can simplify by 2. Then what is the answer? 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. 3/2 is a improper fraction. Convert to a mixed number. You can say 3 divided by 2. How many 2's are there? 1. Remaining is 1. So you can write 1 whole part and 1 part out of 2. So what's the final answer when you are starting from left to right? First do the brackets. So these two brackets first and then think about the division of these two fractions. Again, another question. This is also division. So you can see this one and divide by this one. So here brackets are not given, but you have to assume that there are brackets in the numerator and the denominator. So what I can do, I can rewrite this question as this one divide by 1.5 divided by 3/4. So something like this. So you can do the brackets first. Subtraction here, 3 minus 1 is 2 and you get half minus 1/4. Convert to the same denominator. 2 and 4 you know already. What's the lowest common multiple? If you can't do that at once, you better use this method to find out the lowest common multiple. But if you know it at once, you can straight away write down 2 and 4. The lowest common multiple is 4. Convert to 4 here. 2, how you get 4? Multiply by 2. You do the same thing in the numerator and you subtract 1. So 2 and 2 minus 1 over 4. So what's the answer there? So here we can write 2 and 1 over 4. So that's the first part. So what's the second part? Now we have to do the second part. So here again, this is a mixed number. So when you have division or multiplication, what you do? You convert to improper fractions. So here, take this, convert to improper fraction. You can do 2 times 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3 over 2. Divide by 3 over 4. So what's the method to find out division? 3 over 2, write the first fraction as it is. Switch the sign to multiplication and take the reciprocal. So 4 over 3. 4 goes to the numerator and 3 goes to the denominator. Now simplify. I can see 3 get cancelled out and 2 I can write divide by 2, you get 2 here. So what's the answer there? You get 1 times 2, 2. 1 times 1 is 1. So you get 2 for the second part. So I can rewrite this question as 2 1/4 divide by 2. Now again division. So here again you can simplify this to improper fraction. 4 times 2, 8. 8 plus 1, 9 over 4. Divide by 2. Now what you do? Keep the fraction as it is, multiplied by the reciprocal of the second one. So this becomes half. Now can you simplify numerator value with the denominator? No common factors, so you can just multiply the numerator. 9 times 1, 4 times 2, 8. So 9 over 8 is a improper fraction. You can convert to a mixed number. How you convert to a mixed number? Take this number, divide by 8. You get remainder 1. So we can write 1 full part and 1 out of 8. Now we'll see how we can do the review exercise. So that's in your textbook, page number 31. So we'll see the first question. So you have given a table with different fractions and you are asked to write down what are unit fractions, proper fractions and improper fractions. So can you remember we did what are unit fractions? When you get 1 as the numerator. So identify 1 as the numerator. I can see 1 over 7. What else? I can see here 1 over 15. 1 over 3. So these are unit fractions. What are proper fractions? The numerator is smaller than the denominator. So in this case, we can say 4 over 5 is a proper fraction. 5 over 7, a proper fraction. 4 over 9, another proper fraction. Here, these two are bigger than that. Now here, I can see 7 over 12 also a proper fraction. What about this one? 7 over 8, numerator is smaller. You can write down. In this case, the numerator is bigger. This one, yes, numerator is smaller than the denominator. This one, 22 is bigger than 7. Here, 8 is bigger than 7. 6 is bigger than 5. So, those are improper fractions. So, here, what are improper fractions? When the numerator is bigger than the denominator, we call it improper fraction. So, what are the improper fractions? 9 over 4, 19 over 15, 11 over 9, 22 over 7, here 8 over 7 and 6 over 5. So now you know how to find out what are unit factors, improper fractions and improper fractions. Now we'll move to the next question. So you have to fill the blanks. Now here, sometimes given the improper fractions and ask you to convert to mixed number. These three questions you have given the mixed number and ask you to find out the improper fraction. So what's the method? To find out the improper fractions, multiply this by this number and add this value. So here 2 times 2 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5, 5 over 2. How you do this one? 5 times 1 is 5, 5 plus 3, 8. 6 into 3 is 18, 18 plus 5, 23 over 6. Now this one is reverse order. So you have given the improper fraction. How you convert to a mixed number? You do long division. 7 divided by 2. How many 2's? You get 3. Remainder is 1. So how can you write this number? 3 parts, 3 whole parts and 1 part out of 2. 16 divided by 3. Use long division. How many 3's for 16? 5. Remainder is 1. How can you write down? 5 full parts, 1 out of 3. 22 divided by 5. How many full parts are there? 4 is 20, 2 remaining. So how can you write down this? 4 full parts and 2 out of 5. Now we'll see the next question. Fill in the blanks. What are these? These are equivalent fractions. So here you have given a fraction and you are asked to convert to different denominator. So here take the number multiplied by 3. So you have to do the same thing to the numerator. So here you get 3. So then multiply. 1 times 3 is 3. You have already given 12 there. Now what you do here? You need to convert this to 12. 3 to 12. How you do that? You multiply by 4. You have to do the same thing to the numerator. 2 times 4, 8. In this one, how you get 14 from 7? Multiply by 2. What you do here? Do the same thing. 2 times 2 is 4. This one, you have not given the numerator or the denominator. So that means you can simplify this. So here see the common factor. I can see you can divide this by 4. 4 divided by 4, you get 1. 16 divided by 4, you get 4. So what's the equivalent fraction to this? 1 over 4. What about this one? You have given a fraction and there's division sign. That means you take these two numbers, you have to divide by a number to get 5. So how you get 5 from 20? You need to divide by 4. So this number should be 4. That means this is also 4 because to find out equivalent fractions, you have to do the same thing. 8 divided by 4 is 2. We know that 20 divided by 4 is 5. What about this one? 10 and 5 given. How you convert 10 to 5? You divide by 2. You have to do the same thing to the denominator. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now in the next question, what happens here? 21 becomes 7. How you get 7 from 21? When you divide by 3, you get 7. Do the same thing to the denominator. Divide by 3. 30 divided by 3 is 10. This one, you are asked to just simplify the fraction. Here you can see 75 and 100. 25 is a factor. You can divide by 25, you get 3. Divide by 25, you get 4. So what's the answer? 3/4. Now we'll see the next question. So you have given several fractions and you are asked to write in ascending order. What is ascending means? Smallest to largest. Smallest to largest. So what is the other one? Largest to smallest? Descending order. So when you see the word descending, that means largest to smallest. In this one, you are asked to find out smallest to largest. Here the denominators are different. So what you do? You have to find out the lowest common multiple. So first thing, take these numbers, find the lowest common multiple. You can divide by 2. You can divide by 3. You can divide by 5 here. Again, you can divide by 7. So till you get 1, you have to divide. So what's the lowest common multiple? 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 5, 30. 30 times 7, 210. So that means you have to convert everything to 210. How you convert 7 to 210? How many times of 7 is 210? Times 30. So you do multiplication this one by 30. So you have to do the same thing. 1 times 30 is 30. What about the next one? We'll put a comma here. I'm doing the second fraction. 1/3. How you get 210 from 3? So you need to multiply by 70. 70 times 3 is 210. So you do the same thing to the numerator. So 70 times 1 is 70. What about the third one? The denominator is 10. So when you multiply by 21, 21 times 10 is 210. So you do the same thing to the numerator. So you get 1 times 21 is 21. So what's the last one? How you get 210 from 2? So you can check, you divide and see how many 2's are there. 1, and for 10 you get 5 here. When you multiply 105 by 2, you get 210. So you multiplied 105 into 2. So here this becomes 105. So now which one is the smallest? So ascending order means first you have to find the lowest value. So in this case, what's the lowest one? Out of these numerators, I can see this one is the first one. What's the second one? 30 is the second one. What's the third one? This one is the third highest, and this is the largest value. So here you need to write the answer using these fractions given. So what's the order? So what's the order here? First one is the third one. So third one is the lowest one. You can write this symbol or just put a comma. That's okay. So 1 over 10 is the lowest. What's the next one? The first one. So first one is 1 over 7. What's the next one? Third one is 70. So the second fraction. Second fraction is the third highest, and the largest one is the last fraction. So 1 over 2 is the largest one. Now, we used a method to find out this smallest to largest. But without doing this, if you look at carefully, what you can see? All these numerators are ones. What do you call that? Unit fractions. So here we can see all the numerators are equal. So therefore, we can look at the denominators and find out the lowest one. How we decide which one is the lowest? So here, when you take higher the denominator, you get the smaller value. Think about, you have a number dividing by a very large number. What happens? The portion becomes smaller and smaller. So when you get a bigger denominator, the value is smaller. So what's the biggest denominator here? 1 over 10. So here we can say 1 over, this is the lowest value. When you get higher denominator, that's the lowest fraction. So this is straight away you can write by looking at the denominators. This is the highest, so this is the smallest one. What is the next highest number? This is the next highest number, so that's the second largest value. Then what about these two? 3 and 2. 3 is the next number. So this should be 3 and this should be 4. So here, if you look at carefully, if all are unit fractions, you can only look at the denominators and find out the smallest and the largest. Largest denominator is the smallest value. So we'll take the next example. Again, numerators are the same. So what we can do here? Now you don't need to convert to the same denominator. Higher the denominator is the smaller value. So here straight away you can order this. So what's the lowest one? This is the lowest because 11 is the highest number. So what is the second largest? 9 is the second one. So out of 5 and 3, 5 is bigger. So that's the third one. This is the fourth one. So straight away you can write down 2 11s is the first one. What's the second one? 2 9s. And the third one is 2 5ths. And the last one is 2 thirds. So this is in ascending order. Now we'll take the next one. Now in this case, the numerators are different. So you have to find out the lowest common multiple. So here when you take 3, 6, 2, 4, what's the lowest common multiple? You can divide by 2. You can divide by 2 again. You can divide by 3. So what's the lowest common multiple? 2 times 2 times 3. 4 times 3, 12. So you can convert all these fractions to the denominator 12. Convert this 3 to 12. Multiply by 4. 4 times 2, 8. What about the second fraction? 6 to 12. Multiply by 2 to get 12. Multiply the numerator by 2. 2 times 5, 10. 2 to 12. How you convert 2 to 12? Multiply by 6. 6 times 1 is 6. How you get 12 from 4? Multiply by 3. 3 times 3, 9. So what's the order? So you can write down the order. What's the smallest number in the numerator? 1. This is the second one. This is the third one. And this is the fourth one. So you can write down third fraction is the first one. Half is the smallest. Second one is first one, 2/3. What's the third one? Last one. So that's 3/4. What's the next one? Is fourth one is 5/6. Now we'll take the next one. 5, 8, 4, 2. So what's the lowest common multiple for 5, 8, 4, 2? We'll do the calculations. 5, 8, 4, 2. You can divide by 2. You can divide by 2 again. Here, divide by 2, 2, 1, 1. You can divide by 2 again. You get 1. You can divide by 5 again. Till you get 1. So what's the lowest common multiple? 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 5, 40. So you have to convert everything to 40. So I'll do it here. First one, 5 to 40 multiplied by 8. 8 times 4, 32. How you convert 8 to 40? Multiplied by 5. 5 times 5, 25. How you convert 4 to 40? Multiplied by 10. 10 times 3, 30. How you convert 2 to 40? Multiplied by 20. 20 times 1 is 20. Now, what's the lowest one? Lowest one is 20. What's the next number? 25. 30 is the next one. Largest one is 32. So how can you write down this one in ascending order? You can write last one is the first. That means half first. Second one is second one. 5/8. Third one is third place. So that means 3/4. Fourth one is the first one. 4/5. Now we'll take the fifth question. It says 3/4 of a tank which was completely filled with water was used by a household for its needs on a certain day. What fraction of the tank still held water by the end of the day? So there's a tank, 3/4 already filled and it's used for household purposes. So they are asking what fraction of the tank still held water by the end. So here, so if you take the full tank, this is whole part is 1. So the water level is 3/4. So how can you write down the fraction of the tank still held water by the end of the day? So that means, so this part you should get. So that means out of 1, you are subtracting 3/4. So here how you do the calculations. 1 you can write as 4/4 minus 3/4. 4 minus 3 is 1/4. Now we'll move to the sixth question. if the two pieces of wire A and B are of unequal lengths. Okay, we'll take two wires. Unequal length means not equal. So you can draw two different lines, not the same size. 1/3 of the length A, this is A and this is B. 1/3 means when you divide into three parts, 1/3 of this length of A equal to 1/3 of length B. So if you divide this by 3, something like this. So this is 1/3 of B. Now they are asking, are they unequal? What can you see? If the lengths are different, 1/3 is also different. So give reasons for your answer. So how can you answer this question? So this is first thing you have to say, yes, these are unequal. Unequal lengths. What's the reason behind that? So you can write length of A. Why? What's the reason? Length of A is unequal to length of B. Therefore, 1/3 of length of A unequal to 1/3 of length of B. So that's the reason. So you, in this question, yes, they are unequal. Now we'll take the next one. If the two shaded regions of the circular lamina that has been divided into 8 equal parts. So you can see there are 8 equal parts as shown in the figure are cut out and discarded. So that means, so like this part, cut it and removed. So you are asked, what fraction of the total lamina is remaining? So you are asking, what is this part? We know when you take 8 equal parts, there are equal parts. 8 equal parts are there. So we can say 1 is the full thing. You take out 2 parts out of that. So you take out 2 parts out of 8. So here this is 1 minus 2 over 8. We can write 1 as 8 over 8. Now this is simple subtraction. You get same denominator. So what you can do, 8 minus 2 becomes 6 over 8. So here what fraction of the total lamina is remaining? 6 over 8, or you can simplify further, divide by 2, 3 and 4. So you get 3/4. So what's the next part? So that's the first part. What fraction of the total lamina is exactly half the remaining portion equal to? So the remaining portion is 3/4. So you are asking half of the remaining portion. So half of 3/4. So in maths, I told you of means multiplication. So half into 3/4 is, how you do that? Multiply the numerator separately, denominator separately, because you can't simplify further. So the answer is 3/8. Now we'll move to the 8th question. First one is really easy. Same denominator. You just add the numerators. 2 plus 3, 5. 5 plus 4, 9. But you can't keep this as an improper fraction. Convert to mixed number. 9 divided by 5. Remaining 4. How can you write down this answer? 1 whole part. 4 out of 5. In this one, you get different denominators. You have to find the lowest common multiple. So lowest common multiple of 2 3, 5 is, you divide by 2, you divide by 3, you divide by 5. So 2 times 3, 6, 6 times 5, 30. So 30 is the lowest common multiple. Convert to 30. 2 to 30 means multiply by 15. 15 times 1 is 15. 3 to 30 means multiply by 10. 10 times 2 is 20. 5 to 30 means multiply by 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Now you can add the numerators. 20 plus 24 is 44. 44 plus 15. So what is 44 plus 15? You get 59 out of 30. Again, this is an improper fraction. So what you do? Use long division. 59 divided by 30. How many 30 is 1? Remaining part is 29. So you can write this answer as 129 out of 30. What about the third one? You get mixed numbers. So what's the first step? You can subtract the whole numbers and then separately you can add and subtract the fractions. So here what you can do, 1 plus 2, 3, 3 minus 1, 2. Then you find what's the lowest common multiple of 2, 4, 3. You can divide by 2. You can divide by 2 again and divide by 3. What's the lowest common multiple? 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 3, 12. So here, how you convert 2 to 12? Multiply by 6. You do the same thing to the numerator. How you convert 4 to 12? Multiply by 3. 3 times 1, 3. How you convert 3 to 12? Multiply by 4. 4 times 2, 8. But here, this is subtraction. You subtract 8. So what's the final answer? 6 plus 3, 9. 9 minus 8, 1. So 2 and 1 12s. Now we'll see next few questions. Here, the first one, you get off with brackets. So here, what's the method, order of operation? You do the brackets first. So what we can do, you can simplify this one first and then think about doing the other calculation. So here, 5 and 3, what's the lowest common multiple? You get 15. So you convert this to 15. How you get 15 from 5? Multiply by 3. 3 times 4, 12. How you convert 3 to 15? Multiply by 5. 5 times 2, 10. Off. Off means multiplication. So you can rewrite the question like this. So half into 12 plus 10 is 22. 22 over 15. Now you can simplify. I can see 1 there, 11 there when you divide by 2. Then you multiply the numerator separately. 1 times 11 is 11. 1 times 15 is 15. So you can keep the answer like this. Now we'll take the fifth question. You get brackets and multiplication. So first thing you have to do brackets. So I'll teach you two methods here. So first thing, you can convert this to improper fraction and find out the answer. First we'll do that. So how can you convert this to mixed number? 4 times 2, 8. 8 plus 1, 9 over 2. So this is 3 over 5. And now you have to convert this to an improper fraction. 13 times 1 is 13. 13 plus 2 is 15 over 13. Now find the lowest common multiple of 2 and 5. What is 2 and 5 lowest common multiple? It's 10. So here, if you can't do that, you use this method and find out. I'll do it straight away. 10 is the lowest common multiple. Convert it. How you get 10 from 2? Multiply by 5. 9 times 5 is 45. How you get 10 from 5? Multiply by 2. 2 times 3 is 6. And then multiply this by 15 over 13. So simplify the numerator. 45 minus 6. So you get 9 here and 39. 39 over 10 multiplied by 15 over 13. Now try to simplify. Can you see? This is 3 times bigger. 39 is 3 times bigger. You can divide by 5, 2 and 3. So what's the final answer? 3 times 3 is 9 over 2. Or you can write down as mixed number. How many 9s? 4 and half. So how did I get that? 9 divided by 2. 2 times 4, 8. Straight away I can write 4 and 1 over 2. So what's the next method? I'll teach you another method here. So here, without converting this to improper fraction, we can write this as, take the 4 value, whole number, half and 3/4 you can convert to the lowest common multiple. So here I can write half is out of 10 multiplied by 2. 2 times, how you get 10? 2 times 5. So this becomes 5 here, minus how you get 10 from 5 multiplied by 2. 2 times 3, 6. And then you write the same thing. This is as an improper fraction. This is 15 over 13. So the next step here, you can't get a negative value. So what I can do, I keep 3 parts here and take 1 part inside. So when you take 1 part inside, I can write 10 over 10. Then do the other calculations, adding 5 and subtracting 6 into 15 over 13. So here can you see 10 plus 5 is 15. 15 minus 6 is 9. So you get 3 parts, 9 out of 10 multiplied by 15 over 13. So here you can again convert to an improper fraction. 10 times 3, 30. 30 plus 9 is 39. So I can write here 39 over 10 multiplied by 15 over 13. Here you got the same calculation like this. Multiplied by 3, divide by 5, you get this. 3 times 3, 9. I can write 9 and 2. Then when you convert to a mixed number, you get 4 and a half. So you can use either this method or converting to improper fractions and simplify. Now we'll take the next one. You got brackets as well as multiplication, addition, division. But brackets first. According to Bodmer's, you have to do brackets first. Do this one separately. Do this one secondly. And then add the 2 fractions. So what you do? You convert to improper fractions. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7 over 5 multiplied by 5 over 7. That's the first bracket. Adding, this is division. So what you do for division? 3/4, you write the fraction as it is, switch the sign and take the reciprocal. So reciprocal becomes 2 over 1. So how you simplify? So here can you see 5 get cancelled out, 7 times 7 get cancelled out. You will end up with 1 here. 1 plus, what's this one? So you can simplify by 2. You get 3 over 2. What is 3 over 2? 1 plus. So 3 over 2 means you can divide and see 1 part is there and half. So you can rewrite this as 1.5. So then you can add the two whole numbers together. 1 and 1 becomes 2, 2.5 for this answer. Now we'll look at the next question. So here again you got 2 parts. So here word of division is there. So what you have to do? So you have to start from left, rewrite this in order. So this is 4 over 5. Of means multiplication. 2 and 2/5 convert to improper fractions. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 2, 12 over 5. Division sign. Again convert this to top heavy fraction or improper fraction. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 1, 3 over 2. Now what you do? You start from left and do the calculation. Now you get multiplication first. I told you according to Bodmer's, left to right, whatever you get multiplication or division, you can do the first one. When you go left to right, what you get here? Multiplication sign. So here that means you have to do this calculation first and then take the answer and do the division. So now you can see here starting from this end. So you have to do the first one first, multiplication first. So we can simplify this. Can we simplify numerator with denominator? No. So 4 times 12 is 48. 5 times 5 is 25. Then you can do the division. So what you get? First write down the first fraction as it is. Switch the sign and take the reciprocal. 2 goes up, 3 goes down and try to simplify. So can you divide this by 3? Yes. 3 times 1, 3 times 6, 18. So 16 there. Further you can't simplify. So what's the answer? You get 16 times 2 is 32 over 25. Now this is a improper fraction. Find out the mixed number. Divide by 25. 1 is there. 25 you subtract. You get 7. So what's the mixed number? You get 1 whole part. 7 parts remaining out of 25. Now we'll take the next one. So you get mixed numbers, proper fractions, improper fractions, and here you get division and multiplication. So according to Bodmer's, what you do, you start from left to right and do the operations. So here, first thing you convert this to improper fractions. So 5 times 2, 10. 10 plus 2, 12 over 5. Divide by. How you convert 1.5? 2 times 1, 2. 2 plus 1, 3 over 2. Multiplied by 4 over 5. Then what you do? You start from left. So you get division first. So you have to do this one first. So how you do division? Take the first fraction as it is. Switch the sign to multiplication. Take the reciprocal. So what you get? So you can write this answer as it is. This fraction as it is. You do the simplification now. Now this is all multiplication. You can simplify together. So what are the common factors? 3 and 1, 3 and 4. What else? Nothing common. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 4, 32 over 25. 5 times 5, 25. So you can divide and find out the mixed number. 25 times 1 is 25. 7 remaining. So you can write down the answer as 1 whole part, 7 out of 25. Now we'll take the next question. So you get a worded problem. So try to understand by reading it carefully. Mother who went to the market with 500 in hand spent 300 rupees to buy vegetables and 150 to buy fruits. So 500 was there. So what other things bought? 300 for vegetables and 150 for fruits. What fraction of the money in hand, that means 500, did she spend on vegetables? So out of 500, 300 rupees she spent for vegetables. So what is the value as a fraction? 300 out of 500. Now you can simplify. These two zeros get cancelled out. You can write 3/5. What's the second part? Second part says, what fraction of the money in hand, that's 500, did she spend on fruits? So out of 500, how much she spent for fruits? 150 rupees. Try to simplify this fraction. 0, 0 get cancelled out. Divide by 5, you get 3 here and 10 here. So 3 out of 10. Now the third part, it says, if she had planned to save 1/4 of money she had taken to the market, was she able to fulfill her plan? Give reasons for your answer. So saving money. Now these two she spent to buy vegetables and fruits. So we need to find out the total fraction that she spent. So how you find out the total fraction? So we add these two fractions. Convert to the same denominator. You will see you have to multiply by 2. 2 times 3 is 6 and 3 you get 9/10. So here when you add these two you get 9/10. But when you take the full amount, that's one part. So she spent 9 out of 10. So what is the saving part? You subtract these two. 1 minus 9/10. How can we do that? You can convert to the same denominator. I can write 1 as 10/10 and subtract like this. 10 minus 9 is 1. 1/10. But she thought of saving 1/4 of money. So, but we got 1/10. So, this is not equal to 1/4. So, what we can say? So, she couldn't save 1/4 of money. So, she planned to save 1/4, but she couldn't do that. So, you can write down this is not equal to this. So, therefore, she couldn't save 1/4 of money. Now we'll move to the last question in your textbook revision exercise. Satish, who left home on a journey, travelled 1/4 of the journey by bicycle. So, if you take the whole journey like this, he travelled 1/4 of that using a bicycle. Then it says 2/3 by bus. Another 2/3 by bus. What's the next one? And the remaining portion. So this is the remaining portion by a 3-wheeler. So this one by a 3-wheeler. So the first part, they ask, what fraction of the total journey did he travel by both bicycle and bus? That means total of these two. So how we can find out the total? That's fraction addition. So you are asked to find 1/4 plus 2/3. So convert to the same denominator. 4 and 3. What's the lowest common multiple? You can find that is 12. Convert to 12. 4 times 3. So you do the same thing in the numerator. 3 to 12 you multiply by 4. 4 times 2, 8. 8 plus 3, 11 out of 12. So this whole part is 11 out of 12. So here the next part they ask what fraction of the whole journey remained for him to travel by three-wheeler. So this part we need to find. So we know if you take this whole thing, that's one part. So 1 minus 11 over 12. So how you convert to this? So here you can write 1 as 12 over 12 minus 11 out of 12. So 12 minus 11 is 1 out of 12. So here, first example in page number 33. So you have given this question. 2/5 of a mixture of a flour prepared to make a certain type of food consists of Kurakan flour, while the remaining portion consists of wheat flour. So you have given a diagram. So 2/5 of this is a mixture of Kurakan flour. So this part is Kurakan. So the remaining part is this part. So what is that? Remaining portion consists of wheat flour. A cook wishes to prepare 50 kilograms of this mixture to make the food items to cater to an order. Find the amount of Kurakan flour and wheat flour required for this mixture. So first thing you have to find out what fraction you need for wheat flour. So if you have given the portion for Kurakan flour is 2/5, how can we find out the fraction for wheat flour? So first you have to find fraction of wheat flour. So how you find out? So the full part is 1. Out of 1 you have to subtract 2/5. So how you subtract? You can write 1 as 5 over 5 and subtract 2 over 5. So you can easily do same denominator. So you just subtract the numerator. 5 minus 2 is 3. So you get 3/5. So now they are asking if the full mixture is 50 kilograms, what are the weight you need for Kurakan flour and wheat flour. So how we can find out? So the portion for Kurakan flour is 2/5. So you need to find out of 50 kilograms what is 2/5 of that. So here you can straight away write down the amount of Kurakan flour is 2/5 because Kurakan flour is 2/5 of means multiplication, 2/5 of the 50 kilos of the mixture. So here you can write 50. So this is in kilograms. So you can simplify this. So this is like a fraction. You can simplify 5 with 50. You can divide by 5. You get 10 here. So 10 times 2, you get 20 kilograms. So here to find out the amount of wheat flour, you can use either the fraction you found or straight away, the whole mixture is 50 kilograms. So you have 20 kilos of Kurakan. So the remaining part should be wheat flour. So both ways you can do. So if you are doing straight away after you find out this one, you can straight away find out amount of wheat flour using the total amount. 50 minus 20. But if you are using, so the answer is 30 kilograms. If you are using the fraction we found, so how we find out the amount of wheat flour? So another method, you can use it, this method also, I'll write in a different color. So if you are using the fraction, you can do this way. Amount of Kurakan flour is equal to you found the fraction of that. So 3/5 of 50 kilos. Again, you can simplify 5 times 1, 5 times 10, that becomes 30 kilos. Now we'll take this next question. So in the next question it says, it takes 12 minutes to fill 1/4 of a certain tank using a pipe through which water flows at a uniform rate. So there's a tank. So 1/4 of a certain tank using a pipe. So here 12 minutes to fill. So if you take this one, 1/4 of this, it takes 12 minutes to fill. 12 minutes. Find the time it takes to fill the whole tank with water using this pipe. So same pipe means you can use the same rate. So here 1/4. If you take the full tank, this is altogether 4 parts are there. So 1 part is this much. You need to find out 4 parts. So you can do the question like this. 1/4 represent 12 minutes. Therefore, what about 4 parts? That means to fill the full tank. So what you do? You multiply this by 4. So what's the answer? You get 48 minutes to fill the full tank when you use this pipe. Now we'll take the next example. Example number 3. Selva can travel 3/5 of the distance from his home to school by bus. This distance is 12 kilometers. So here it's given, if this is the total distance you need to travel, 3/5 of that is 12 kilometers. And you are asked to find out the total distance from home to school. Now when you take 3/5, that means 3/5 representing 12 kilometers. You are asked to find out the full distance, means total number of parts. That means 5 parts. So here what you can do, you can write 3/5 of this represent 12 kilometers. You can do 1 part. How you find out 1 part? You need to divide by 3. So that means 4 kilometers represent 1 part out of 5. So what about full parts means 5 parts. So you multiply this by 5. So 4 times 5. So how many kilometers? 20 kilometers from home to house. Now we'll see another question. Example number 4. It says a tank was filled with water up to a 4/5 of its capacity. So when you take a diagram, always try to draw a diagram. So this is the tank. 4/5 of its filled with water. So if you take the tank, 4/5 filled with water, after consuming 350 liters of this amount, the quantity of the water remaining filled 1/3 of the tank. So what it says? So you have a tank was filled with water after consuming. So here from this they have taken 350 liters of this amount. The quantity was remaining is 1/3 of the tank. So here out of this water 350 liters. So they have used and they are asking, so this part is 1/3. So the remaining part means 1/3 of the tank. How we can find this answer? So what fraction of the whole tank was used? So which part is used? This amount, water was there, and this part used. So here this part used. So the remaining part, first they asked to find what fraction. Full thing is 4/5. This part is 1/3. So you have to subtract to get this fraction. So what you have to do to answer the first part, what fraction of the whole tank was used? You can say 4/5 is the full part. Subtract 1/3 from this. Now you get different denominators. What you have to do? You convert to the same denominator. So use lowest common multiple. Find out what's the common factor. So you can divide by 3 and you can divide by 1. So 3 times 5 becomes the lowest common multiple. That's 15. So you convert this to 15 and then you can subtract the numerators. How you get 15 from 5? Multiply by 3. 3 times 4 is 12. How you get 15? Multiply by 5. Multiply the same number by 5. So 12 minus 5 is 7/15. So this is this part. This part. So here used part is 7/15. Then they ask what is the capacity of the tank. So capacity means the full part. So we know 7 out of 15 parts represent 350 liters. So the full tank means we need 15 parts. So before that we can find what is one part of that. So what is one part of that? You need to divide by 7. So you get 50 liters representing one part out of 15. Then to fill the full tank, that means 15 parts we need to consider. That means you are multiplying 50 by 15. So what's the answer? 0, 5 times 5, 25, 2 remaining, 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2, 750 liters are there. Now we'll see the exercise in your textbook. That's page number 35. So the first question, off. Off means multiplication in mathematics. So straight away you can do the first part. Just multiply half into 5,000. How you simplify? This means you can rewrite this question as 1 times 5,000 divide by 2. Then you can simplify. 2 with 1, 2 with 2, 4, 1 remaining, 2,500. So what is half of 5,000? 2,500. The next one, again the word off is there. So that means you multiply 3/4 of 200. So what you do? You can rewrite this as 3 times 200 over 4. Now try to simplify. So you can divide by 4. 1, this is 50. So 3 times 50, you get 150. So what's the unit? Here you get, so you can write 150 meters. What's the next one? 2/3 of 2.4 liters. Again, this is multiplication. You can multiply straight away with 2.4. You can rewrite as 2.4 times 2 divided by 3. Now try to simplify. 2.4 divided by 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8. Then you get a decimal number, so you keep one decimal place. So when you divide, you get 0.8. 0.8 times 2. 8 multiplied by 2, 16. Then you keep the decimal point. One decimal place is there. So 1.6 liters. Now we'll take the next question. It says, 1/4 of 2000. Similar to the previous one, straight away you can multiply with this number. You can rewrite it 1 into 2000 divided by 4, then simplify. So you can divide by 4, 4 times 500. So the answer is 500. The units you need to think about, that's given as milliliters. What about this one? 3/5 of means multiplication, 250. Rewrite this question as multiplication and divide by 5. 5 times 5, 3 times 50. You get 150. What's the unit? This is in kilograms. So here 3/4 of 4.8. Again, you can rewrite 3 times 4.8 divided by 4. How you divide decimals? You simply take 48 divided by 4. You get 12. Then you consider the decimal point. You get 1.2. So here 1.2. How you multiply decimals? Just 12 times 2, 12 times 3, 36. And then you keep the decimal point. This is in kilometers, so the answer is also in kilometers. Now we'll see the next one. So this is a worded problem given. It says Mr. Upul received 24,000 as his salary last month. He spent 3/8 of it for travel expenses. Find the amount he spent for travel expenses. So out of 24,000, he spent 3/8 of that for travel. So they are asking what's the amount. Straight away you can write down 24,000 of 3/8 or 3/8. I can write in front. So it's better to write in front. 3/8 of 24,000. So of means multiplication in maths. So here you multiply 24,000. Now you can rewrite this as 3 times 24,000 divided by 8. So here you can simplify. You can first divide by 4. 4 times 2, 4 times 6. Now you can simplify with 2. 2 times 3. So 3,000 multiplied by 3, you get 9,000. So this is about money. So how we write down the units? This is rupees. So we write rupees 9,000. Now we'll take the third question. It says a household water tank was filled with water. When 3/4 of its volume was used up, there was 200 liters of water remaining in the tank. So we'll try to draw it. There's a tank filled with water when 3/4 of its volume was used up. So 3/4 of volume. There was 200 liters of water remaining. So the remaining part given 200 liters. So this part used, the remaining part is 200. What fraction of the whole tank was the remaining volume of water? So what fraction? You're asking which part? You're asking remaining. The whole tank was remaining. So you ask this part as a fraction. You know the whole tank is 4 equal parts and 3/4 you used. So what's the remaining part? You can subtract 3/4 from 1. So how you subtract? You can write 1 as 4/4, subtract 3/4. The remaining part is 1/4 of the tank. So second part they ask, this is the first part, find the capacity of the tank. So capacity means the full volume. So here 1/4 represent 200 liters. So they are asking if you want to fill the tank. So there are 4 equal parts. So 4 parts. So you just multiply this by 4. So you get 800 liters is the capacity of the tank. Now we'll look at the fourth question. It says 3/7 of a plot of land belonged to Pradeep. He bought 1/4 of portion of land which did not belong to him and annexed it to his plot. So here there's a plot. Think about this is the plot. 3/7 of the plot of land belong to Pradeep. So here this part belongs to Pradeep. So that's 7 parts belong to Pradeep. So he is asking, now he bought 1/4 of the portion of land which did not belong. So from this part, so he wants to buy 1/4 of that. So here out of this 1/4 he wants to buy. Now we'll see what fraction of the total plot of land did Pradeep buy. So first thing you need to find out the remaining part. So here how you find out this part? So the full part is 1. So you have to first find out the remaining part of this. So here 1 minus 3/7. So how you simplify this? 7/7 minus 3/7. So you get 7 minus 3, 4/7. This is the remaining part. Out of that, 1/4 of the portion he wants to buy. So they are asking the first part as what fraction of the total plot of land did Pradeep buy? So here this is the remaining part, 4/7. Out of that he wants to buy 1/4. So what's the fraction? You can simplify 4 and 4. You get 1/7 of a plot he bought. Now they are asking second part. Show that Pradeep now owns more than half of the plot. Earlier he owns this one, 3/7. Now 1/7. So what's the total parts that Pradeep has? So you need to add these two parts, 3/7 and you add 1/7 to that. So what's the total? Same denominator, you can add it, 4/7. So that's the second part. Show that Pradeep now owns more than. How we show that this is more than half? You have to do comparison between two fractions. So here we need to check 1/4 and half. Which one is bigger? Now not 1/4, 4/7. So I'll erase this. 4/7 and this is the 4/7 part and half. So which one is bigger? So here you need to find out the lowest common multiple of 7 and 2. So what is the lowest common multiple? You divide by 7 and divide by 2. So you get 14. So convert to 14. Convert to 14 this one. You need to multiply by 2 to get 14. So 2 times 4, 8. Here to get 14 you need to multiply by 7. 7 times 1 is 7. So which part is bigger? You can compare. So this 8 is bigger than 7. So you can say 4/7 is bigger than half. So what can you say now? Show that Pradeep now owns more than half. So this is more than half. Now we'll move to the third part. It says, if the area of the portion remaining after Pradeep had bought a part of it is 240. Now Pradeep bought altogether 4, what's the total part? 4/7. And here it says if the area of the portion remaining after Pradeep had bought, so what's the remaining part? 240. So first step is to find out the remaining part. So Pradeep bought 47 parts. So what's the remaining part? You have to take 1 minus 4 over 7. So how you simplify? You can write as 7 parts out of 7, subtract 4 over 7, you get 3 sevens. So that part is 240. So you can write 3 sevens means 240 square meters. What is the area of the land owned by Pradeep in square meters? So here 3 sevens this much, but Pradeep owns 4 sevens. So you need to find out first 1 part of 7. What you do, you divide by 3. So you get 3 times 8. So you get 80 square meters. 1 part of 7 is 80 square meters. So what's the part that Pradeep has bought? 4 sevens. So you need to find out what about 4 over 7. So what you can do, take the value, multiply by 4. So when you multiply 4 times 8 is 32, 320 square meters is the answer for the last part. Now we'll take the next question. So fifth question, Vishwa, who is saving money to buy a bicycle, has been able to save 5/8 of the required amount. If you take the full parts, so he saved 5/8 of that to buy the bicycle. But this is not enough. So he requires 2,700 more. He needs 2,700 more to buy the bicycle. What fraction of the value of the bicycle does he now need to save? So they are asking, what is this fraction? So we know the full parts is 1. If you want to buy the bicycle, you need to subtract the amount he has. So 5/8 he has. So what's the remaining part? So you can again convert 1 to 8 over 8 minus 5 over 8. So when you subtract this, 8 minus 5 is 3. 3 out of 8. So this is the answer for the first part. Now, in the second part, find the value of the bicycle. It's given. He needs 2,700 more to get the bicycle. But we know that part is 3/8. 3/8 represent 2,700. So how you find out one part? You divide this by 3. You get 900. Now you need the full amount. That means 8 parts you need. So 900 times 8. So what's the full amount he needs? 8 times 9, 72. 7,200 rupees. So here the total amount he needs to buy the bicycle is 7,200. Now we'll take the next question. It says, Mohammed wrote exactly half of his land in his daughter's name. So if this is the land, half of the land. So half of the land to his daughter. So this is for his daughter. Then it says, and 1/3 of his land. So 1/3 of the full thing in his son's name. 1/3 of the land. So we will mark here this part for his son. 1/3 of the land. He donated the remaining 10 acres to charity. So if this is the full part, so the remaining part is 10 acres. So you are asked what fraction of the total plot of land did Muhammad donate to charity? So first thing you need to find out the total number of parts for his daughter and son, and then out of the full portion you have to subtract that amount. So we'll first find what's the amount for daughter and son. Fraction for his daughter and son. So what's the fraction? 1.5 plus 1/2 plus 1/3. So you can convert to the same denominator. What's the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3? That's 6. How you get 6 from 2? Multiply by 3. How you get 6 from 3? Multiply by 2. So you get 5/6 part. So what's the remaining part? So you can find out remaining fraction. So the total parts 1, you subtract 5/6. So what's the answer? 1 you can write 6/6. Subtract 5/6, you get 1/6. Then it says how many acres is the whole plot of land? We know 1/6 of land represent 10 acres. So here, what about the full amount? You multiply, so that means total parts, 6 out of 6. So that means you are multiplying this by 6. So altogether, he owned 60 acres. Now the third part. Since the land that was donated to charity was not sufficient, his daughter was willing to give a portion of what she received so that the land that the charity received would be double the initial amount. So what's the initial amount that given for the charity? So the fraction for the charity is 1/6. So double the amount. So how you double this amount? You need to multiply by 2. And then it says show that when this is done, the plots that the daughter and the son have are equal in area. So we know that daughter had half of the land, and she has given a part that is equal to, that becomes double of 1/6. Now I'll take another page to do the third part. So the third part says, since the land was donated to charity was not sufficient, his daughter was willing to give a portion of what she received, so that the land that the charity received would be double the initial amount. Now we found in the second part 1/6 of the land given to charity. So 1/6 of land, double it. It says double the initial amount. So you multiply it by 2. So what's the fraction now given to charity? So new fraction given to charity. 1/6 of the land, double it. So here you can simplify 2 times 1, 2 times 3. So here 1/3 now given to charity. So it says, show that when this is done, the plots that the daughter and the son have the equal in area. Now we can see when you take the land, 1/3 given for charity. And 1/3 for the son. So now what happened to the daughter's part? Earlier it was half. Now what's the amount now? You can find out the remaining part by 1/3 and 1/3 becomes 2/3. 1 minus 2/3. You can simplify. 3 over 3 minus 2/3 becomes 1/3. So this is the part that belongs to daughter now. So you can write daughter's part is 1/3 now. So what happens now? So you can see now they have equal amount. So 1/3 of the land from the father. So here daughter and son, they are getting 1/3. So we can see that's equal. Now we'll take the 7th question. Black pepper and cloves have been cultivated in 7 out of 8 of a plot of land. So when you draw the land like this, 7 out of 8 parts for pepper and cloves. And it says black pepper has been cultivated in 450 square meters while cloves have been cultivated in 1/4 of the land. So here out of this, again given out of this 7 out of 8, 450 for pepper and 1/4 of the land. 1/4 of the land means 1/4 of the total one. 1/4 of the land. So here the remaining part, if you take this amount, this should be 1/4 of the land. That's for cloves. So this is for pepper and this is for cloves. So here find the fraction of the land on which black pepper has been cultivated. So this is about black pepper here, pepper, and this is cloves. So they are asking what is this fraction? So this part. So if you take another color, they are asking what this fraction is. So how we can do this sum? So we can see when you take 7 out of 8 as the full parts, out of that this is 1/4. So the remaining part of these two is 450. So the first thing you need to find out what is this fraction. So we can just subtract the two fractions. Out of 7 over 8, you subtract 1/4. So what's the answer? Again, 8 and 4, what's the lowest common multiple? It's 8. So you can check that out with dividing this. You can write 2 and 4 dividing by 2, 2 and 1 again dividing by 2. So you get 2 times 2 times 2, 8. So that means you can convert to 8. So no need to convert this one. 4 you can convert to 8 by multiplying it by 2. 2 times 1, 2. So 7 minus 2 is 5 out of 8. So the first part, the fraction of land on which black pepper has been cultivated is 5 over 8. What's the second part? The area of the whole land. We know 5 out of 8 parts represent 450 square meters. So you need to find out full parts. So before that we can find what about one part of the land. So you divide this by 5. So you get 90. Then what's the full parts? 8 parts. They are 90 multiplied by 8. So what's the answer? 8 times 9, 720 square meters. That's the total area of the whole land. Then the third part, they want the area in which cloves have been cultivated. So we want this area. So the total area is 720. That means full land is 720. But we know 1/4 of the land is for cloves. So how can you find out the area? So 720 times 1/4 of land. So here simplify this. You can rewrite as multiplied by 1/4. You can simplify further, divide by 4. 4 times 1, 4 times 1, 4, 3 remaining for 32, that's 8. So what's the area for cloves? 180 square meters. Now we'll take the 8th question. A piece of wire was cut into 3 equal parts. So you can take a wire like this, 3 equal parts. One of the 3 parts was cut again into 4 equal parts. So take one part and 4 equal parts. What fraction? So they ask, what fraction of the length of the whole piece of wire is the length of one small piece? So this is, if you divide the whole thing by 3 parts, this becomes 1/3. This is also dividing by 4 equal parts. So if you are dividing 4 equal parts, so they are asking what is this fraction. So how can we do that? So we know equal parts, each one 4 equal parts. Now altogether how many parts are there? 4, another 4, another 4. Altogether 12 parts are there. So what is one part represent? 1/12. Or you can divide, you can use another method to find out that. So you can do 1/3, you are dividing it by 4. How you divide? So when you get division sign, you keep the fraction, first fraction as it is, switch the sign to multiplication and take the reciprocal of this. So you switch numerator to denominator and denominator to numerator. So then what you get when you multiply, 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 3 is 12. So this is another method to find out the fraction. Then part 2. Illustrate the above division of the wire by a figure and compare the answer you obtained with the answer in above. So we just did it. So this is the diagram. If you divide into 4 equal parts, so one part. So this means the small part. So then we saw in both methods you got the same answer. So we'll take the third part now. If a small piece of wire is 70 centimeter in length, find the length of the whole wire. So small part represent 1/12. So 1/12 means 70 centimeters. So you are asked to find out the length of the whole wire. So that means total 12 parts are there. So that means you need to multiply this by 12. So 0, 7 times 2, 14, 1 remaining, 7 times 1 is 7 plus 1, 8. So what's the total length of the wire? This is in centimeters. Now this is in your textbook, the examples. So this is example number 1 in page number 36. So in this question, so we'll try to draw a diagram and see. From the money that Raj received from his father, he spent 2/3 on books. So here, this is the amount of money, 2/3 of that for books. 1/4 of the remaining amount on travel expenses. So first you have to find out the remaining part. From that, 1/4 spent for travel expenses. 1/4 for travel expenses. Now, so then it says after that he had a balance of 500. So after he spent that money, 500 balance was there. So now we'll try to start the first question. What fraction of the amount Raj received from his father was remaining after buying the books? So this is for books. After buying books, they are asking what's the remaining part. So in first part, how you find out the remaining part? Remaining part. You can see full thing we can take as 1. You subtract 2/3 of that because he spent 2/3 of the whole amount for books. How you simplify? You can rewrite as 3/3 and subtract 2/3. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1/3 is remaining. Then they ask, second part, what fraction of the amount of father gave did he spend on traveling? Now it says 1/4 of the remaining part. We know 1/3 is the remaining part of 1/4 is for travel expenses. So what is 1/3 of 1/4? You multiplied by this. So you get 1/3 times 4 is 12. So that's for travel expenses. Then the third part they ask, find the amount he obtained from his father. Now we know 1/12 of this he spends for travel expenses and 2/3 for books. The remaining part is 500 rupees. So first thing you have to do, find the remaining part. So first find the total expenses and then subtract from 1. So you can write total expenses as a fraction. You can add 2/3 plus 1/12. So what's that? 3 and 12. What's the lowest common multiple? We can see that's 12. If you can't do it at once, divide and see. 3 and 12. You can divide by 3. This becomes 4. Divide by 2. Again divide by 2. 3 times 2, 6. 6 times 2, 12. Then how you convert this? You need to multiply by 4. 4 times 2, 8. If you take this one, you take same denominator, so no need to convert. So 8 plus 1 becomes 9/12. If you simplify this, you get 3 times 3, 3 times 4, 3/4 as the find the amount of obtained from his father. Now here 3/4 he spent for books and travel expenses. So what's the remaining part? So we know if full part is 1, you need to subtract 3/4. So what's the amount? 4/4 minus 3/4. You get 1/4. So 1/4 represent 500 rupees. So you can do that. 1/4 represent 500. So what is the remaining? Find the amount that he obtained from his father is 4 full parts. So 4 parts are, you can multiply by 4. So what's the total amount? 5 times 4, 20. So 2,000 rupees he got it from his father. Now we'll take the exercise 3.2 in the textbook, page number 38. So here it says, Mr. Austin, who works in an office in the city, spends 2/5 of his salary on food. How can we represent that? If this is the whole part, 2/5 of that spends for food. And sends 2/3 of the remaining amount to his wife. So 2/3 of remaining part. So 2/3 of remaining to his wife. So here this is not the full amount, so I'll erase this. So if this is the total, we'll take this much, 2/3 of remaining for sends to his wife. And it says, they're asking, first part, what fraction of his salary remains after he has spent for his food? So for food, he spent 2/5. So what is the remaining part? So you can find remaining part is equal to 1 minus 2/5. So full parts we can take 5/5 minus 2/5. You get 3/5. 5 minus 2 straight away you can do. So that's the remaining part. Now it says, what fraction of his salary does he send his wife? Now it says 2/3 of remaining he sends to his wife. So we can straight away find out the fraction. So the fraction given for his wife is 3/5 multiplied by, it says 2/3. 2/3 of 3/5. Can you simplify this? Yes, we can see 3 is common. You can cross it out and you can write 2/5. So you found the fraction for his wife. And the third part, they are asking what fraction of his salary is left over after these expenses are met. So he spent 2/5 for food. He sends 2/5 for his wife. And what's the remaining part? So first thing you have to find the total parts that he spends. Total parts he spends. So what's the total part? Here 5 is the common denominator. You can straight away add 2 and 2. 4/5 he spent. So what's the remaining part? We know full part is 1 minus 4/5. So again you can write 5/5 minus 4/5. You get 1/5. So the remaining part is 1/5. So the answer for the third part is what fraction of his salary left over. That's 1/5. Now we'll take the next question. Question number 2. It says, from a certain amount of money, half was given to A. So we'll take certain amount of money. Half was given to A. 1/3 of the remaining amount was given to B. So for B, 1/3 of remaining. And the rest is given to B. So this is for part C. So it's you want to find out the fraction that C received from the amount that was distributed. So here how we can do, so for, half for A. So what's the first thing you have to find out? Remaining part. Remaining part is 1 minus half. Again you can convert 1 to 2/2. So 2 minus 1 is half. So this is half. Then out of remaining half, 1/3 for B. So you can find out part for B. So what's that? 1/3 of half. So when you multiply, you get 1/6. So you know for A and B, total parts for A and B. What's the total parts for A and B? Half for A and 1/6 for B. Different denominators, you need to convert to the same denominator. So what's the lowest common multiple of 2 and 6? You get 6. If you can't do it at once, you have to find out the lowest common multiple. Divide by 3, you get 1. 2 times 3, 6. Convert 2 to 6, you multiply by 3. 3 plus 1. So you get 4/6. You can simplify further. You get 2 and 3. That's for A and B. So what's the remaining part? So part for C becomes 1 minus 2/3. So what's the remaining part? Again, you can write 3/3 minus 2/3. You get 1/3. So they are asking find the fraction that C received from the amount was distributed. That's 1/3. So there's another part, continuation from that. Now we found out from the previous question, we found out half of this part for A and then 1/6 for B. And we found out what's the remaining part for C? 1/3. So for C, that's 1/3. Now we'll try to continue this question. If instead of dividing the amount in the above manner, it was divided equally between the three, show that the amount that B would receive is twice the amount that he received initially. Now instead of this, if you divide this equally, so equally means there are 3 people, so 3 parts you have to do. 1 part divide by 3. So that means each part should be 1/3. Now if this happens, they are asking, show that the amount that B would receive, so this is A, B, C, B would receive is twice the amount that he receives initially. So you have to show that initially B got 1/6 and when you double it, what happens? So double of 1/6. What happens here? You can simplify further. 1 times 2 and you can rewrite and simplify. So you get same answer. When you double this amount, you are getting the same amount. Then the third part says, if C received 1,000 through the initial distribution. So initial distribution is this. Find the total amount that was distributed among the 3. So now we have to think about this distribution. It says 1,000 for C. 1/3 represent 1,000 and they are asking find separate values. Find the total amount that was distributed among the 3. So the total amount, not separate values. So here you know 1/3 represent 1,000 rupees. So what's the total number of parts? You need to consider 3 parts. So you multiply it by 3. So what's the amount? So that's 3,000 rupees. Now we'll take the next question. So question number 3. It has been decided to allocate 2/3 of the floor area of a certain hall for classrooms. 2/3 of the remaining portion. So here we'll try to draw a diagram. If you take the whole part as this one, 2/3 of that of the floor area of a certain hall for classrooms. So here this is for classroom. 2/3 of the remaining portion. So the remaining portion is there. 2/3 of remaining. 2/3 of remaining portion for an office. So here we have to, you can't take the whole amount as 2/3. 2/3 of this we'll take as this amount for the office. So this is for office area. And it says the rest of the floor area, which is 200 meters squared, for the library. So this is the remaining part. So this is for the library and it's 200 square meters. So the first part, it says what fraction of the whole area has been allocated for the office. So how we find out the allocated amount for office? First you need to find out the remaining part. So remaining part, when you take out the full thing and subtract 2/3, you get this whole remaining part. So how you do that? You can write 3/3 minus 2/3, you get 1/3. So 1/3 is the remaining part. So then what fraction of the whole area has been allocated for the office? We know that 2/3 of remaining part. So remaining part is 1/3. 2/3 of 1/3 is for the office area. So what's the answer for this one? 2 times 1 is 2 and 3 times 3 is 9. So what's the office area as a fraction? It's 2/9. We'll see the next part of this question. It says find the floor area of the hall. Now here we found from the previous part 2/3 classroom, and what's the fraction for the office? We found that is 2 9s. So I can write here 2 9s for the office. And now they're asking find the floor area of the hall. Now we know here 2/3 for the classroom and 2 9s for the office. So here this is the total number of parts for classroom and office. So first find that part, total for classroom and office. So we need to add these together. 3 and 9, what's the lowest common denominator is 9. If you can't do it at once, do separately and find out the lowest common multiple. Divide by 3, divide by 3 again. So 3 times 3 is 9. Now convert to 9. How you get 9 from 3? Multiply by 3. You do the same thing in the numerator. 3 times 2 is 6. And 6 plus 2 becomes 8/9. So what's the value? So this is the total parts for classroom and office. Now they're asking find the floor area. So the floor area of the hall, that means the full part. Now we know that the remaining part is for the library. So 8 out of 9 parts for classroom and office. So what's the fraction for the library? So we can say for the library is 1 minus 8/9. That is, you can write as 9/9 minus 8/9. 9 minus 8 is 1. 1 part out of 9. So 1 out of 9 represent 200 square meters. That's for the library. So you are asking find the floor area. Floor area means the total number of parts. So you need to multiply this by 9. So 9 times 2, 18. So 1800 square meters. Then the last part, find separately the floor area that is allocated for the classrooms and the office. So here we found the total area is 1800. So we can separately find out. So what about the classroom area? 2/3 of the full amount, 1800. So what is the value? You can simplify. 3 times 6, you get 600 times 2. That's equal to 1200. What's the unit here? Square meters. Then they ask find separately both classroom and the office area. So what is the area for the office? For the office, that's 2/9 of the full area. 2/9 of full area is 1800. So what's the value? You can simplify again. 9 times 1, 9 times 2. 200 times 2, you get 400 square meters. Okay, now we'll take the next question. Of the amount that Anil spent on a trip, 4/7 was spent on food and 2/3 of the remaining amount on traveling. So again, this is similar to a previous question. So you have given 4/7 was spent on food. For food, that's 4/7. And 2/3 of the remaining amount. So 2/3 remaining amount. So 2/3 of remaining for traveling. If 800 rupees was spent on other expenses, so other expenses is this much, 800 rupees for other expenses. Find how much Anil spent in total on the trip. So they are asking the full amount. So here what we can do, first we know 4/7 for food. So you need to find out remaining part. When you spend for food, what's the remaining part? So here you can do 1 full parts minus 4/7. So 1 you can write 7 parts altogether minus 4/7. So 7 minus 4 becomes 3, 3/7. That's the remaining part, the full remaining part. But it says 2/3 of remaining is for traveling. So for traveling, first, then you can find for traveling 2/3 of 3/7 remaining part. So simplify, we can see 3 get cancelled out and you get 2/7. Now we know 2/7 for traveling and 4/7 for food. But the remaining part, so we have to find out the remaining part. So the total parts for food and traveling. So you need to add these two. 4/7 plus 2/7. Altogether 6/7. So what's the remaining part now? Remaining part is 800 rupees. So what is the remaining part now? Remaining part for other expenses. So what's the remaining part? Take the full amount, subtract this total parts. So you get 7/7 minus 6/7. You get 1/7. So now it says 1 out of 7 means 800. So 1 out of 7 represent 800. So what's the total amount that he spent? So here, what's the total amount? 7 full parts. So 800 into 7. So 5,600 rupees. Now we'll take the 5th question. Saroja read 1/3 of a book she borrowed from the library on the first day. So here, if this is the full book, 1/3 of the book she read on the first day. On the second day, she was only able to read half of the remaining portion. So here, second day, this is the first day, second day, half of remaining part. On the third day, she finished the book by reading the remaining 75, this is third day, remaining 75 pages. How many pages were there in total in the book? Again, we know 1/3 on the first day. So what's the remaining part? Is 1 minus 1/3. So you can rewrite 3/3 minus 1/3 becomes 2/3. Then you can find out the fraction for the second day. Half of the remaining part, half of 2/3. So you can simplify this and you can rewrite as 1/3. So that's for the second day. Now we can see total parts for first and second day. So what's the total part? We know first day 1/3, second day 1/3. Altogether she read 2/3 of the book. Now the remaining part. So what is the fraction for the remaining part? Fraction for third day. That means we subtract 2/3 out of 1. You can rewrite as 3/3 minus 2/3. It becomes 1/3. So 1/3 of fraction on the third day. We know that it's 75 pages. So 1/3 represents 75 pages. The full book is 3 parts. So you need to multiply this by 3. So multiply this by 3. 3 times 5, 15. 1 remaining. 3 times 7, 21 plus 1, 22. So how many pages? 225 pages altogether. Now we'll take the miscellaneous exercise in your textbook. That's on page 39. So we'll try to solve these questions. Find the fraction suitable for the blank spaces. So you have given 3.5 plus 1.5 times blank, and there's a bracket here, is equal to 4.5. Yeah, I'll teach you this one in 2 methods. We'll see first thing. So you need to find out this. So we'll keep that in one side and try to find the answer. Now, if you want to keep this one on one side, that means you have to take this to the other side. So what you do? So you can rewrite the question. 1.5 times the blank is equal to 4.5 minus 3.5. Why? Because we can take 3.5 to the other side. So what's the amount? 4.5 minus 3.5 becomes 1. So when you convert 1.5 to improper fraction, 2 times 1 2, 2 plus 1. So 3 over 2 times a value becomes 1. So that means now on this side there's a fraction. So to get 1, that means these two should get cancelled out. So you can think of, if this is 3, this should be 3. If the denominator is 2, you need to multiply by 2. So when you simplify, you can see you get 1. So what's the answer for this blank? That should be 2/3. Another method to find out the answer. So without taking this one to other side, what you can see, 1.5 times something is 4.5. So here first we can simplify this. So we keep this answer here, this fraction as it is. We can convert this to improper fraction. 1 times 2, 2, 2 plus 1, 3 over 2 times something is 4.5. 3.5 is there. When you add something, you should get 4.5. So what should be this value? This should be 1. So if you know this is 1, what should be the answer? So no need to take this to the other side and simplify. So if you want to get 1, that means these two numbers should be the same. So then you can see that you get the answer for the blank is 2/3. Now we'll see the next question. Okay, so simplify 4/5 of a big expression given. So you need to do step by step. So here we start from here, 4/5 there, off. Off you can write multiplication, and here we can use brackets. So here not given brackets, but we know we can include brackets. So I can rewrite this as 2.5 plus 1, 2/3 divide by 1/5 divide by 4 over 15 plus half. Now what can I do? According to Bodmer's, brackets first. So when you start from left, we see 2 brackets. So you need to first simplify the 2 brackets. So I'll do it separately. We'll take the first bracket and we'll take this as second bracket. So we'll do the first bracket now. 2.5 plus 1 and 2/3. So how you add fractions? You can write 2 plus 1. You can add a whole number separately. You get 3. Half and 2/3 you need to add. Again, we know the lowest common multiple for 2 and 3 is 6. So you can straight away write 6 parts are there. How you convert? This is multiplied by 3. So you do the same thing here. Multiply by 3. This is 3. That means you multiply by 2. 2 times 2, 4. So you get 3 parts and 7 over 6. Here we can see this is an improper fraction. So you can rewrite as this one 1 part and 1 over 6. So again you can see that this is 1 and 1 over 6. So what's the total parts? You can write 4 and 1 over 6. 3 plus 1 becomes 4. So that's the first bracket. Now we'll do the second bracket. So here I'll do the second bracket separately. It's given 1 and 1/5 divided by 4 over 15 plus half. Now how you do? From left to right. According to Bodmer's, you first find division. Yes. And the other one is subtraction. Which one you do first? According to Bodmer's, division you have to do first. So first we'll convert this to improper fraction and divide first. So I can rewrite this by converting to improper fraction. 5 times 1, 5. 5 plus 1, 6 over 5. Divide by, I'll write again. Now I can do the division. How you do the division? You write the first fraction as it is, switch the sign and take the reciprocal. This one, denominator goes to the numerator and numerator goes to the denominator. And then adding half. So first you need to simplify and then add half to that. So how can we simplify this one? 5 times 1, 5 times 3. You can simplify again, divide by 2. Divide by 2 again, you get 3. So you get 3 times 3, 9. Divide by 2 plus half. Same denominator you are getting. 9 plus 1, 10. 10 divided by 2, you get 5 there. Now we found two separate brackets and now we need to connect these two together. So how we connect? So here we can rewrite the question again as 4/5 multiplied by first answer. So here first answer we'll write as improper fraction. It's easy for us because there's another multiplication. So 6 times 4, 24. 24 plus 1, 25. Divide by 6. So we can rewrite this as 25 over 6. Divide by, now this second bracket. Second bracket you got 5. Now how we do that? So starting from left, you get first multiplication and then division. Which one we do first? We know according to Bodmer's, these two, either first, division comes first, you have to do division. If it's multiplication first, you can do that one first. So in this question, multiplication first. So here from left to right, so you have to first simplify that and that answer you have to divide by 5. So what we can do, you can simplify this. 5 times 1, 5. 5 times 5. 2 times 2. 2 times 3. So what's the answer? You can't simplify further. 2 times 5 is 10 over 3. Divide by 5. What's the next step? Again division comes. So you take the first fraction as it is multiplied by reciprocal of the second one. So what's the reciprocal of 5? 1 over 5. Can we simplify further? Yes, here we can see 5 and 10 and 2 times 1, 2. So the answer is 2/3. We'll take the third question. So here it says A, B and C are the 3 owners of the business. The profit from the business was divided between 3 of them based on the amount they each invested. A received 2/7 of the profit. B received twice the amount A received. So we'll try to draw a diagram and figure it out. So A, B, C owners. So it says A received 2/7. A receives 2/7. B received twice the amount of A. So twice of 2/7. So what is twice of 2/7? So for B, we can straight away find out twice of 2/7. So you can multiply by 2, you get 4/7. So here we can write 4/7 for B. Then it says C received the remaining portion. So the remaining portion is for C. If the total amount that A and B received together is 72,000. So this whole part is 72,000. This part 72,000. And you're asked to find out the profit from the business. So full part you have to find. Now how you find out the remaining portion for C? So we know what's the total for A and B. First, we'll find total for A and B. You can add it, 2 sevens and 4 sevens. So what's the addition? 4 plus 2, 6. 6 sevens for A and B. So what is the part for C? We know the full part is 1. 1 minus 6 over 7. 1 is what? You can rewrite as 7 over 7. And subtract, you get 1 over 7 for C. So now they are asking, now we know total parts represent 72,000 and you are asking what is the total profit. Actually, you don't need to find out the part for C because we know the total parts is 6 sevens. 6 sevens represent 72,000 and you are asked to find out full parts, but before that you can find one part of that. So 72,000 divided by 6. So what's the answer? Divide by 6. 6 times 1, 1 remaining, 6 times 2. So 12,000 for one part. So what is the full amount? Altogether 7 parts are there. So full parts is you multiply 12,000 by 7. So what's the answer? 7 times 2, 14, 1 remaining. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 1, 8. So this is about money. So we can write 84,000 rupees is the profit for this question. Now we'll take the last question of this chapter. So it says an election was held between two persons to select a representative to a certain institution. All the voters who were registered cast their votes. The winning received 7/12 of the votes and won by a majority of 120 votes. What fraction of the total votes did the person who lost receive? Now try to draw a diagram there. An election was held between two persons to represent. So this is the full thing and it says all voters who were registered cast their votes. The winning received 7 out of 12. So winning part 7 out of 12. So the won by a majority of 120 votes. So that means the difference. So here, so if you are winning, you need 7 over 12 parts. If you are losing, how many parts? For the losing part, you can find out easily 1 minus 7 over 12. So what's the answer? You can rewrite as 12 over 12 minus 7 over 12. 12 minus 7 becomes 5. 5 over 12 for the remaining, that means losing part. So you know the losing part. And the difference between these two is 120 votes. So that means the difference between winning and losing, difference is winning is 7 over 12 and losing is 5 over 12. So what is the remaining one? Is the difference, 2 12s. When you simplify further, you see 1/6. You get 1/6 for the difference. So it says majority of 120 votes means 1/6 represent 120 votes. And what is the first question? What fraction of the total votes did the person who lost receive? So here, this is the first part, losing fraction. How many registered voters were there? So we didn't find out the registered voters still because we know the difference is 120. So from that we can find out the total number of candidates. So here 1/6 is 120, that means 6 full parts is 120 times 6. So what's the total number of voters? So here 6 times 0, 0, 6 times 2, 12, 1 remaining, 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1, 720 registered voters are there. So the last part, so here that's for second part. Now last part, find the number of votes the winner received. So altogether 720 voters are there. So out of that 7 over 12 needs to win. So here we can say 7 out of 12 of 720 you need to win the election. So here how we can simplify? You can rewrite this as 7 times 720 divide by 12. So you can divide by 12. You can first divide by 6. 6 times 2, 6 times 1, 6, 1 remaining for 12, 2. So 120. Again you can divide this by 2. 60. So 60 times 7. 0. 6 times 7 is 42. So to win the election, they need 420. So here that's the answer for the third part. That's all. So this is the end of the chapter 3. So here, as a summary, what we did in this chapter, we discussed about how you simplify fractions when you get addition, division, subtraction and multiplication. So follow all these methods and try to use easy methods to answer the questions.